The 13th Monsoon. Chapter 2. The Instinct. May 6, 2020. It has been over a month since a nationwide lockdown under the control of the central government began in India. When Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi first announced the lockdown in March, it was expected to last for about 3 weeks. However, as the spread and scope of the coronavirus increased in mid-April, the application period was extended. The first extended period was until the end of April, respectively. However, on the last day of April, the Prime Minister appeared again on TV and radio and officially announced a second extension until the end of May. In the meantime, the 2019 novel coronavirus, known by various inconsistent names such as coronavirus or Wuhan virus until then, is now referred to by the awkward name designated by the WHO, which is COVID-19. The name was chosen, according to the World Health Organization, because it is a novel coronavirus discovered in 2019. But it doesn't seem to fit the name of a threatening and such nasty pathogen to humans. COVID-19 sounds too friendly, and the number 19 attached to it gives the impression of a temporary version of a series that will keep mutating and bothering humanity for a long time or forever in the future. Not only I, but also at least a few others seem to dislike the official name chosen by the organization. The US President, Donald Trump, seems to enjoy calling it the Chinese virus, for instance. And there, the lockdown, a new government guideline that I had never heard of in my life. Strict enforcement is being applied even to small villages like the one I live in, located on the slopes of the Himalayas. As a result, my day and night rhythm have been completely reversed, and my biological rhythm has been disrupted. During relatively loping at night, I play video games, watch YouTube, and download new MP3, and I repeat this every single day. The government has permitted relaxation hours from 8 to 11 in the morning daily though. In the relaxation hour, limited movement is allowed only to purchase necessary groceries or medicine. The previous night, I played video games all night long once again. The wealth that grew during the lockdown period was game money, and the self-improvement was a garage filled with tanks that had been upgraded to Tier 9. And the only achievement to be proud of me was a win rate that is close to 50%, which is not too bad as a newbie like me. And the AI guy who kept me going by shouting "Let's bring this show on the road" every time a new battle began was the only voice to hear all night long. As the day dawned, the news spread faster than the light was the birds with various and beautiful sounds, and if you noticed their chirping, my dog, Baddock, sleeping in front of my door, would have already gone for an early morning walk. It would be at least 2 hours before the grocery store opened at 8, so although I was tired from staying up all night, pressing the battle button again because there seemed to be nothing else to do, I stood up from the chair to do push-ups to loosen my stiff body after staying up another night. While the game gathers players, operating tanks also require physical fitness. Especially if you have to operate tanks several hours continuously, physical fitness becomes even more precious. 7, 6, 4, 3, 2, 1, let's bring this show on the road. I finished another long night just like that, and when Baddock, who had finished his walk, came back and scratched at the door, I greeted the dog, whose nose was covered in dry mud. "My good boy, are you back?" To eggs and 2 tablespoons of butter well mixed in hot rice are his breakfast. Although I give the same stuff every day, he never complains. As the first MP3 downloaded overnight blasts through the speakers at full volume, then I begin to undress and enter the bath. The laptop clock shows that it's already 8:30. I needed instant ramen, eggs, peanut butter, rice, bread, butter blocks, Nescafe, milk, radishes, carrots, chili peppers, and vinegar. Wearing a mask and sunglasses, I walked to the grocery store about 10 minutes away for the day's only outing. I pour the cold milk from the fridge into the empty bowl of Baddock, who has already finished his meal, and cross the small and humble front garden to the front door. In an instant, Baddock, who has licked up the milk and even the bottom of the empty bowl, follows me and then takes the lead of the mountain trail. His cheeky buttocks swaying from side to side always brings me a laugh. "Oh, why are you following me again? If you will have trouble with the shop dog again, I'm not gonna help you this time. But he doesn't seem to hear me and has already gone far ahead. So now it's me who's chasing after someone's back, or a tail. Good morning, greeting the neighbors in and out of the grocery shop already busy with them, and they respond with, morning, morning, cheerfully. Until only a few days ago, we didn't even have the opportunity to enjoy the relaxation hours we have today. So seeing the shopkeepers who can now do their work of the shop again, even in a limited manner, and the locals who can purchase daily necessities and groceries every day, feels even more enjoyable than. I began to put the fresh vegetables arrayed in front of the store into the basket. Radishes, carrots, peppers, and before I knew it, I found yellow and green mangoes, which meant that the mango season had already returned. Those green mangoes, how do you sell? Green mangoes are generally much sweeter and tastier than yellow ones. They are 150 per kilogram, and 100 for yellow ones, one of the shopkeepers said. Although green mangoes and bananas were not on the shopping list, I had no choice but to put them in the basket. Mangoes are my favorite fruit, and bananas are one that I need all year round. There are not many foods that can fill the empty belly as quickly as bananas. At the grocery store, only 10 minutes walk distant from my room, I was, of course, in a pair of slippers and an aged hoodie that had the faint aroma of weed I kept constantly burning while playing games, nights over nights. And thanks to the corona shit, I was in a mask and a pair of sunglasses, which helped cover my bloodshot eyes from the computer screen and untidy beard that had grown wild for many days. But oh good God, it was an event that I could never have imagined happening on that early morning of the lockdown. Meeting her who was standing right next to me, completely ignoring the government's strict guidelines on social distancing. The first thing I noticed was her healthy black voluminous hair styled in its very natural way. And then there was the refreshing scent of shampoo tickling my sense and made me feel primitive in an instant, no matter how well I was covered up. She had a thin, long, and exposed neck that slid smoothly to her shoulders, and one side of the shoulders was a single Mandarin character, elephant printed on the spotless white shirt. And on the top of it, a see-through black cardigan weightlessly laid. And under the free-flowing waistline, she wore a shorts that did not seem to provoke anyone at all, though, at least not intentionally. Her legs were long, smooth, not too thin, and elegantly curved till the very end, and at the other end of them is a pair of white flip-flops that beautifully tan silky soft feet in them. Oh, those feet which finally got me utterly off-guarded. As soon as I discovered her, I felt naked and embarrassed. However, that moment was brief, and I decided to be my very self, and wanted to become friends with her. Meeting such a lovely girl during the limited social activity hours, restricted to 3 hours in the morning due to the damned virus thing, in a small mountain town in northern India's Himalayan range, was a stroke of luck. It would have been a great shame if I had missed the chance to spot her. As a human who was inevitably forced to be a part in this global crisis, I understood immediately that it would make everything not only easier, but even desirable, if going through the difficulties together with a friend like her. Until I saw her, I didn't even realize how lonely I had been. I had already imagined inviting her to my room. Don't you have another bag?
No, I don't, but no worries. I might be able to manage with this bag I have.
The bag she carried was not big enough to hold all of her shopping items at once. She had picked out way too many vegetables. We are so sorry. Plastic bags are not allowed in the market these days, by the government policies, said the shopkeeper, who tried to fit all of her items into the small bag she handed him, but it seemed not likely. Done. Why don't you take mine? I impulsively offered her my shopping bag without thinking. Take this bag, and you may drop the stuff at your place and return it to me, assuming your place is nearby, isn't it? Our town is really small.
Are you sure? It will be very handy for me though. And yes, you are right. My place is just around the corner.
She replied, her mask hiding her face curiously. It was then that I realized how sexy a mask could be as an accessory. I imagined the look beneath the layer, hoping her not noticing the blush on my cheeks. Awesome, then go on, and I will be waiting for your return, but please take it easy and slow. I have no reason to hurry, as you might guess by my look. She laughed with me, and I couldn't tell if she was anyway uncomfortable with the mask. or if she secretly heard my selfish prayer. She untied the loops that had been on her milky jelly-like two ears and exposed the rest of her face. That could have changed my life.
You are not wrong. I am not in a hurry either.
And instead of the mask, her small, white, soft, and ringless left hand covered her lips. Once I caught a glimpse of the remaining half of her face hidden behind the mask, I quickly compromised my initial plan. By the way, those bags seem a bit too heavy for you to carry alone. I can lend you a hand along with the bag. What do you say? I was pleased to learn that there are lips that are so vivid and healthy looking without the help of lipsticks. While I understand that the government's policy of mandating masks is for the safety of the people and the country, I couldn't help but blame her sky blue disposable medical mask, which is neither made of high-quality transparent material, nor specially designed for such beautiful lips, and of course, this thought was just fleeting in my mind at that moment.
It just sounds so sweet to me. How kind of you.
The day I first met her, who came to my small village to study Tibetan Buddhism and the Tibetan language, was a short period of time, but we could laugh a lot together.
What do you eat these days when all the restaurants and hotels are shut? Would you like to come to my kitchen tomorrow? I love to share some of my dishes if you want to try some Taiwanese.
Her name, Ping, which she taught me, means apple in Mandarin. What a name, I love it, Ping, I really do, and it's even lovelier when it lays lower. I was momentarily embarrassed by the glamour of her chests I accidentally glimpsed at under the thin black cardigan. They were braless and there were the soft indents, and I began helplessly rambling on anything that might tell her I want you. Ping laughed politely, gracefully and amusingly at every words out of him. After arriving at her place, I helped her carry her two shopping bags full of vegetables and other items whose names I couldn't even identify, and we exchanged contacts and became friends after, agreeing to meet again the next morning, and that was it as it was supposed to be. On my way back to the room, I found Baddock lying low, almost crawling on the ground in front of the big growling dog from the grocery shop. However, when Baddock saw me, he got up, shook his tail wildly, then barked back at the dog bravely, which was so typical of him. As soon as we reached back to the room, I collapsed onto the bed and fell into sleep. The world seemed just fine as it is. The sound of knocks on the door woke me up from the sleep. When I looked at the clock, it was 6 in the evening. The memory of meeting Ping earlier in the morning felt like a sweet yet distant dream that I had just had, but when I rubbed my still sleepy eyes and checked the clock again, it confirmed that it was the same day as before I fell asleep. However, the sky outside looked completely different from the one I had seen in the morning. Amid the loud thunder, someone outside my door knocked, as if trying to bury the sound of thunder. It was clearly not Baddock. Then who could it be? That was the first time any such thing had happened since I moved into this place. I wasn't feeling very happy with the rudeness of the sounds. I opened the door nonetheless. Behind the door, it was Indian landlord who was waiting for me, wrapped in a rainproof jacket. The garden behind him was soaked in black, due to the heavy rainstorm, and it was a mess of all kinds of trash, littered chairs, and haphazardly placed flower pots. The cold air that rushed in through the door ajar was too cold and damp to be an evening in the midst of May. The expression on the landlord's face, who was standing still under the wild sky, was filled with unknown concern, and what his grim face wanted from me was far beyond me. The sense of danger that I felt at that moment was purely instinctive, and my instincts were sometimes clearer than any other sense, especially when that instinct sensed danger. It was even more so. "Show me your passport," the landlord demanded, still unmoved at the door, not even flinching at the heavy rain bouncing off his coat.